The title of my story is Jonah and the Big Fish. One day, God asked Jonah and Israel that he might travel to the distant city called Nineveh. Those people were doing evil things. Jonah was to tell them that God was so angry that he was going to destroy them all. But Jonah didn't want to go to Nineveh. Those people were enemies of Israel. He wanted nothing to do with them. Instead, he went to the seaport of Joppa. He bought a ticket on a ship that was going far, far away to Spain. He was the only Hebrew on the ship. During the trip, a storm came. The sailors were afraid it would sink. "This is all your fault," one sailor said to Jonah. "Aren't you telling us you're running away from your God? Your God has sent this storm to punish you." Jonah had a feeling on this way. "Throw me into the sea, then the storm will end." But the sailors didn't want to do it, but the storm was getting worse and worse. They threw Jonah into the sea. Then the sea calmed down. He knew he was drowning. He wasn't drowning. God sent a big fish to swallow him. He was in the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Then God commanded the fish to swim to the shore. The fish opened its mouth and Jonah came out. Again, God asked Jonah could go to Nineveh. This time he went. He preached to the people about God. They turned their wicked ways and followed God's laws. God did not destroy them. The moral of the story is that you should obey God's voice and your...
All right, thank you. The next participant is Joshua Kattapalli.
I'm going to tell a story called A Changed Man. There was a man named Saul who hated Jesus' followers and wanted to put some of them in prison. So when he was walking to Damascus, a light shone from heaven and he fell to the ground. A voice said, "Why are you against me?" And Saul said, "Who are you?" And the voice said, "I am Jesus, the one you're against." And the voice said, "Get up and go to Damascus, and you will be told what to do next." And so when he got up, he couldn't see. Some men were traveling with him to Damascus, so they held him by hand, and they went to Damascus. In Damascus, Saul was in Judas's house. God sent a man named Ananias to Judas' house. Ananias laid his hands on Saul's head and said, let you have your eyesight back and be filled with the Holy Spirit." And then Saul could see, and he was filled with the Holy Spirit. And instead of hating Jesus' followers, Saul loved them, and he became a follower too. So God changed Saul's name into Paul.
Good, thank you. Do we have Josiah? No Josiah, right? Okay, Kavan Tathapudi.
My name is Kavan. I'm going to tell a story about Noah and the great flood. Noah was a man who worshipped God. Everyone else hated and disobeyed God. One day God said something shocking. "I'll destroy this wicked world. Only your family will be saved." God told that great flood would come and cover the earth. God said, "Build a wooden ark, a big boat enough for your family and many animals." Noah got busy. Noah explained why he was making an ark. Noah believed God even though rain had never fallen before. Perhaps the people shouted insults of Noah as he loaded the animal. They did not stop sinning against God. The great rain came for 40 days, 40 nights. As the water rose, the ark floated on the top. After 5 months of floating, the ark came rest on mountains of Ararat. After some days, God told that it was time to leave the ark. God gave Noah a wonderful promise that never again would he send a flood to judge human sin. The rainbow was the sign of God's promise. All the nations of the world came from Noah and his children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nigala and I will be telling a story about Esther. King Xerxes ruled over a mighty land of Persia when he needed a wife. He sent his servants over the land to search for the most beautiful women, and then brought them back to the palace for the king to choose his bride. A beautiful woman named Esther was chosen. When King Xerxes saw Esther, he was very pleased. He placed the royal crown on her head, and she became his wife and queen. One day, Mordecai often sat by the palace gates to see how Esther was doing. One day, he overheard the king's men wanting to kill the king. He told Esther, and Esther told the king. The king had the bad man arrested and put in jail. A powerful man named Haman became angry at Mordecai. So he encouraged the king to make it illegal to kill all Jews. Then Esther said to Mordecai, "Go gather all the Jews from Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my maids will fast as you do. When this is done, I will go to the king even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish."
Thank you, Pallavi.
8 years old, and I'm going to say the Solomon's story. After King David died, Solomon became king. One night, Solomon had a dream, and God asked, "What do you want me to give to you?" Now Solomon could have asked for riches, long life, or victory over his enemies, but he asked for the wisdom to rule. Now Solomon knew about trees, animals, birds, and fishes. People from all over the country came to see him. Even the Queen of Sheba came to see him and was amazed at what she saw and heard. One day, 2 women brought a baby, saying the baby was theirs. Solomon said, "Cut the baby in half and give 1 half to each woman." The woman that was lying said, "Okay," but the real mother said, "No, give the baby to the other woman. Don't kill the baby." Now Solomon knew who the real mother was because of the way she loved the baby. God gave Solomon wisdom to build a beautiful temple in which people can worship God. Solomon made a big mistake of marrying women near his country that worshipped idols. Soon, Solomon began to worship those idols. Solomon was not loyal to God as King David had been. Telling the Nehemiah story. Nehemiah was a servant of the king. One day, Nehemiah's brothers came from their homeland with sad news. The walls of Jerusalem was falling down. Nehemiah didn't know what to do to rebuild the wall. The only thing Nehemiah could do, he prayed. God helped Nehemiah's people. The king noticed Nehemiah's sad face. The king said, "Why are you sad, Nehemiah?" Nehemiah told the king about the broken walls. The king said a kind word, "Go and help your people rebuild the wall. Come back when you're finished." Nehemiah thanked God for hearing his prayers.